be worried about the should the league be worried about the Steelers post transactions now? This is different. This is different. This is different from the last few years. You bring in a true veteran quarterback and a veteran young quarterback as well, right? Who has something to prove. Obviously, one looks more like the guy now. The other one's going to be the bridge. You trade away Kenny Pickett to Washington, which now Washington, will they draft a quarterback? Will they not? That's another question they might ask. They got Dante Jackson. Let's see. Let's just go down what they did in February. All right, so they started February. They signed Nate Meador. They also released their punter, Presley Harvin III, Chukwanda Okafor, the offensive lineman, and also released Mitchell Trubisky, former first-round pick. And remember, he was the guy who was picked before Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, and if I'm not mistaken, was he not picked before Patrick Mahomes, or was that a wrong draft? That's the same draft?
No, it's the year after.
Okay, gosh. That's another slap in the face. Let's see. They signed offensive tackle Dylan Cook to 1 year. They released Mason Cole. And now in March, they released safety Keenan Neal, and he failed the physical. Let's see. Also, free agency nose tackle Braden Focal. He was signed. They released Patrick Peterson and wide receiver Allen Robinson II. Patrick Peterson, he might as well go ahead and retire. Not saying he's not. I think he should go and retire and go ahead and sign up for the Hall of Fame. I think he goes into the Hall. Acquired Dante Jackson. Yeah, he's definitely going to the Hall because I think to me he redesigned the cornerback position in certain terms because he was a bigger corner, a much bigger corner. Not only that, he matched up against Julio for his entire college career. And, they had battles back and forth. He came into the league ready to match up with any big receiver you had. So between him and who else you have? Joe Hayden, nice size corners. They did their part in redefining what a big corner looks like. Let's see. Signed long snapper Christian Kuntz. Signed Russell Wilson to a 1 year contract. Beautiful 1 year contract at that. They signed Patrick Queen to a 3 year. They signed Deshaun Elliott to a 2 year. They acquired a 2024 third round pick and a pair of 2025 picks in a trade with Philadelphia Eagles for Kenny Pickett. Obviously, my bad. I had Pickett going to Washington, but he actually went to Philly. And then we got Justin Fields from the Bears in exchange for a 2025 conditional 6th round pick.
That Justin Fields trade came out of nowhere. That was really funny.
Because I know the day before, it was kind of like, where do the Bears go from now? Are the Bears going to keep him? Are they going to trade him? Is there a market for him? But I think it goes back to a conversation Mike Tomlin had on the Pivot podcast where he says he find it funny, or it's funny for him to hear where coaches don't want to coach when your job is to coach. And I think he's like, I can coach Justin Fields. I can make him the guy that they're saying he can't be. Thoughts? Yeah. What we got?
This is football's gonna be interesting this year. I said 2023 was gonna be nice, but I said 2024 is gonna be that year where it was just like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. I didn't think it would be this interesting. Like this year, you got Rodgers, you got potential 3-peat in Kansas City. You really got to see what Josh and them are on over in Buffalo. You got Russell Wilson on his third team in 3 years. And it's just like, whoa, what's going on? This Russell thing is, I don't get it. I really don't. Like, did I ever think Russ met his full potential? No. Do I think Russ is washed? No. He's a happy in-betweener. He's more than good enough to get you to well and beyond where you want to get. But you just ain't got to pay much for him unless you get into situations like this year. if Russ goes out and balls in Pittsburgh, he's getting paid next year. You're going to have to pay him $30+ million a year. Why? Because somebody is going to need that kind of potential. If he balls out, this is a slap in the face to a lot of analysts. Sean Payton, them Seattle haters or whatever you want to call them, people who spit on Russ' name. Low key, what's the coach name? Pete Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
Low key, a slap in the face to all the people who spit on this man's name and his game. Because tell you right now, if they somehow make the playoffs and this defense stay healthy, and if he stays healthy and they run the ball like Arthur Smith tends to do if he has an offense, I can see them making some noise. I don't think they're going to. There's a few teams out there where I feel like if they were to get up to the right situation, they're not stopping running the ball. They're going to keep playing their game. And with Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith as his coaches, I can see them doing that, being very much like Seattle days. And then also the conversation about Mike Tomlin himself. He will be deemed as the Russell savior. He's never had a losing season. Over the past, 5 years, he's done this with 6 different quarterbacks, never having a losing season. If he were to win a Super Bowl with Russ next year, you can go ahead and cement him in that top 10 coach of all time, probably list. Never had a losing season. Latter part, he had to deal with Le'Veon, Tonio, the disappearance of and health and play of Ben Roethlisberger, and then a slew of different quarterbacks he's had to start. I don't know what more you want from a coach.
Tomlin has been the model of consistency that you want out of any team and out of any coach in the NFL. To me, he's like the defensive version, or not a defensive version. To me, this goes back to a conversation we had about true head coaches, where it's not about what side of the ball that they're perfect at or what they're best at. It's about them being a coach who knows how to lead and put people in position to succeed and let them do the jobs that they hired them to do. And he's done that. He's done that really well. He believes in the players that he has. He does a really good job of developing talent and letting them do what they do, regardless of how good or how bad or how crazy they are on or off the field. He does what he has to do to get them right. Antonio Brown, he put him in position to be as great as he is. If you were to look at, again, Martavis Bryant, that's another guy, right? He's with the Cowboys, but again, he's another guy that Tomlin had put in position to succeed. Pickens right now for them, the young wide receiver they got from out of Georgia, another guy who is in position to be one of their best receivers. And with a guy like Russell Wilson, and then you have a Justin Fields right behind him, you're in position now to make a deep run in the playoffs. And like you said, they play their game. I think the problem sometimes with certain coaches and certain franchises, what they do really, really odd is when you get to the playoffs, they try to change what they do best. And Tom is not a guy who changes what he does best. He hones down on it. And if it were to go to the playoffs and he was to go match up, let's say an AFC Championship game, and it was against the Kansas City Chiefs, or at any point in time in the playoffs, match up with the Kansas City Chiefs, I think he has a solid case. He has a solid case, and not only a solid case to win that game, but to go further to win the Super Bowl with the guys that you have on your team. To me, they're giving a feeling of. You remember the Ravens with Ray Lewis's and Ed Reed's last year, like those years.
2013.
It gives me that feeling.
14.
Not saying their defense is tremendously great or X, Y, and Z, but it feels like they have what it takes to get over that hump, to get over the teams that cause issues for most people. I think going into the playoffs, they won't be favored in many of those games. I don't think they'll be favored, which I think adds a chip on their shoulder where they will go in and do what they need to do to get over the hump. They just can't trip up. That first game of the playoffs where, let's say, I don't think they'll have a bye week. That first wild card game, they just can't trip up. They just can't trip up. because I think that's usually sometimes they trip up in that first game. It's like, okay, they got to playoffs, but they're out. They just can't trip up. Get past that. Get past that game. The bigger the game, the harder the Steelers play. The bigger the
Well,
game, the
I'll
harder the
say
Steelers play.
the type of quarterback that Russ is, he doesn't tend to make mistakes, especially in big games. So I feel like they should be more or less just fine,
Also, I think
honestly.
it's very nice for Justin, not Justin Fields, but for both of them, right? Russell Wilson and Justin. When you're on a franchise that knows they're going to the playoffs, it feels different because they're not playing. It's not a gimmick. You're not playing a are we gonna make it there or can this happen, or you're not really playing a gimmick type of game. The Broncos are experimenting with whatever they're trying to do to make something work. The Seattle Seahawks are experimenting with what they're trying to do. The Chicago Bears hasn't had a consistent OC or direction, and we don't know how long since Lovie Smith. So they haven't
Yeah.
had a direction or anything. But you go into a franchise that has all that in place. This is good. This is good. The Steelers are very dangerous. It might take a game or two for them to get everything rolling, but this
No,
opens the
yeah.
doors up for
So,
so many opportunities for them to do really well. And again, Mike Tomlin, as being a true head coach, man. Again, football is like you said, football is going to be really interesting. I am man to have Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin and Andy Reid all in the same side or same conference, bro. This is what you want. This is what you want, man. Playoff football is going to be exciting. Right now, I think we've gotten to the point where we understand regular season football. It is what it is. But, is what is it? It's the average. It's like it separates the average Joes from the it's like a saying. It separates the average Joes from the pros
yeah.
or whatever. Like
Pros from the Jobs.
pros from the Joes. And I think this is one of those seasons where we definitely gonna start seeing that divide in real coaches versus gimmicks.
Yeah. I think somebody said it earlier this week is where a lot of teams they are starting to just go ahead and quickly cut ties with the mistakes that they make. And it's obviously sometimes it sucks because sometimes it definitely is on the team itself. But just to be honest, it's way more refreshing than to just watch something burn and die than just go ahead and I don't have time to play it and watch it burn the whole building down when I can just leave a little
Yeah,
char mark right there.
yeah,
If
and move forward.
the main thing right now is the Steelers. They recognize Kenny wasn't the guy. We saw how you reacted with us bringing Russ in. Let's go ahead and get you out of here because that's not the kind of guy that we want in our for our system and for our team. So
Yeah, there's a that's a culture thing. That's a
yeah,
culture. Now you need to see that as competition. Want to be like, let's get it. But if you don't see it as competition that you want to, or a person you can learn from, because he's coming in for your job. So if you can't see it as a person you can learn from, let's get you out of here because you were supposed, in my opinion, like you just said, it looks like Kenny was supposed to be the guy just to learn underneath. This is your opportunity
mm-hmm.
to learn. We threw you in the fire. You wasn't ready for it. You can go ahead and learn. Justin Fields, hey, we're gonna see what you can do. Can you learn from him?